Is there anyone out there like me? Do they fear the same thing? People always say that fear is normal, but right now, it doesn't feel normal. My hair is sticking up on my arm and my stomach is churning. And do you want to know why? Well, because the one thing I fear the most is right in front of me. Cockroaches. Yes, that's right, cockroaches. The little bugs that come in all shapes and sizes, from small to big. I remember the first time I saw one. I was 10 years old, and it was a normal day at my family's restaurant. I was getting ready to serve water to the customers when my eyes stumbled upon a creature scurrying across the gas tank. It was brown, and it had a mustache sticking out of its head. It was the grossest thing I had ever seen. I almost dropped my tray of water. Mom! Mom! I'm doing something! What do you want? My mom replied. She was busy making food for the customers, so I had to deal with this creature alone. But how? I looked around for anything I could use. Maybe a plastic bag, but I didn't want to touch it with my hands. I had an idea. I would use the broom to sweep the cockroach into the bag, tie it up, and throw the bag quickly into the trash. But as soon as I swept it, more started coming out. Ah! I screamed as I fell to the ground. They were all over me, on my face and in my mouth. At first, everyone in the restaurant sat in shock, but as soon as they saw me, they all started laughing. That day changed my life. I hated cockroaches, and my fear of them grew. I would dream about them crawling all over me with their weird mustaches. It got so bad that anything that looked remotely close to a cockroach, I hated with a passion. But no one understood me. They thought I was being dramatic. Even my mom would laugh if I told her about my dreams, telling me that they were just insects and they could never hurt me. But I didn't believe her. My friends also didn't understand my fear. They would pick on me and call me a baby. It might have seemed funny to them, but to me, it wasn't funny at all. I had almost died. Yes, you heard me correctly. Those darn cockroaches nearly gave me a heart attack when they jumped all over me. Everyone in my class found out, and I immediately became the new target in school. Every day, my classmates would say that I was a coward, and some would even say that they put cockroaches on my desk. Some girls would sneak up behind me and pretend they had a cockroach in their hands. I screamed so loud and almost fainted, but they would just laugh and walk off. I was tormented every day until I just couldn't take it anymore. When someone tried to make fun of me, I turned around and shouted, "You can try all you want, but I am not afraid anymore, so leave me alone." After that, my classmates no longer teased me, and for a while, I could finally enjoy school again. Until one day, as I was eating my lunch, a classmate came up and told me that a teacher was asking for me in the cafeteria. I was a little surprised, but I didn't want to get in trouble, so I followed my classmate. But as soon as I stepped into the room, a huge bag was put over my head. I couldn't see anything. I tried to pull it off, but I was then pushed into a small room. It was dark as I pulled off the bag, but as my eyes adjusted, I was greeted to my biggest nightmare. There were bins everywhere, and all over them were cockroaches! Hundreds of them scurrying around. I wanted to scream, but I was so afraid that my body went into shock. I sat on the floor, so scared that one might get into my mouth. I could feel them crawling all over me. I started to cry when my classmates opened the door and were laughing at me, saying, "You said you weren't afraid, but look at you now. What a baby." I was so shocked that they could do this to me and knew that I needed to get out of there, but I couldn't move. I felt so dizzy and my body was trembling all over. I couldn't feel my hands and my breath was getting shallow, and before I knew it, I passed out. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. A doctor was there and told me that I had fainted at school. She said that I had suffered what was called a specific phobia. The doctor went on to explain that many people suffer from a similar condition, but unlike others, my phobia of cockroaches was very dangerous. This was because there were cockroaches everywhere, and whenever I see one, it causes my body to go into shock, which can be fatal. She said that I was lucky to be alive today because if my teacher hadn't walked by and called an ambulance, I would have died in that room. After I was feeling better and my heart rate went back to normal, I was allowed to go home. However, my doctor came by before I left and told me I needed to overcome my phobia or else I would be in danger of having the same thing happen to me again in the future. There are many people with phobias, especially of heights or narrow spaces, that have gotten better with treatment. So if they can do it, so could I! But the doctor did warn me about it being a long journey before I am 100% better. However, if I keep working at it, one day I'll be able to get over my phobia of cockroaches and finally be fine again. As for my classmates that pushed me into that room, their parents forced them to come to my house and apologize for what they had done. My mom told me that I needed to forgive them because they were still kids too, and sometimes kids make mistakes. At first, I really didn't want to listen to her, but seeing how guilty they felt, I chose to forgive them. But I will never forget what they did to me. It seemed like the universe didn't either, because as soon as my classmates turned to leave, I saw cockroaches on their backs. I was going to say something, but instead I decided to stay quiet and just wave, thinking to myself, "Have fun at your new home, dear cockroaches." I have slowly gotten better and no longer freak out a lot when I see cockroaches, so I just want to say that it is totally natural to fear things we don't understand. But just because you are afraid of something doesn't mean it has to rule your life. Most importantly, never let anyone use your fears against you. Everyone deserves to be treated with kindness, and I hope that my story sheds a little bit of light on how serious phobias can be.